Dragon Ball Legends is a beautiful game, and we know that most of the time they give us beautiful releases, but sometimes they mess up. So today we have 5 mistakes of Dragon Ball Legends. So the top 5 best Asian units. Best Asian units are units that stayed in the meta for the longest, to the point where people are so annoyed about facing them over and over again. But keep in mind, this list is going to be about who stayed in the meta the longest. So if someone stayed in the top 10, you can say for 2 years or something, or 1 year, and then another unit stayed like for in the top 3 for 7 months, I'm gonna give a slight edge to the 1 year unit. So without talking too much, let's get into our number 5 unit. Our number 5 unit here is going to be Ultra Gogeta Blue. This guy was one of the units that I would say people didn't get annoyed a lot because he's in the meta for a long time, because he wasn't as broken, but his Asian was really good. He aged for around a year. He released back during Legends Festival 2022. He was undisputedly the best unit in the game at the time, and he continued to be the best unit in the game until I would say Ultra Rose came in the meta. There it was interchangeable, but when Ultra Kid Buu came in the meta, I would say this guy was at best a top 3, top 4 unit. But even when Kid Buu came, he was still one of the best units in the game. Ultra Gogeta Blue with his ridiculous unique gauge. Everyone hated it's futile. But because he's Ultra Gogeta Blue, and Gogeta Blue is one of the fan favorite units, people didn't get that annoyed about facing him every game, and by him staying in the meta for a really long time. And he continued being a really good unit throughout the 5th anniversary, but when Ultra Vegito Blue first released, I would consider this guy getting back again as a top 3 unit. And then he continued from there on. He was still being used in late 2023, and we got the movies campaign, we got more buffs for him, Ultra Janemba, Elf Revival PyCon, and part 1 of the festival. Guess what? Another movies unit, Beast Gohan. Again, you can still use Ultra Gogeta Blue after a year of his release, which is crazy to think about. And I would say this guy stopped being used since Ultra UI Goku released. At that time, most purples were cooked in the meta, and Gogeta Blue was a 1-year-old purple, so it's safe to say that he fell off at the time and he wasn't usable, which makes his Asian for around 11 to 10 months. So we have Gogeta Blue at the number 5 best Asian unit in the game. Let's move to our number 4 unit. Our number 4 unit right here is going to be Ultra Super Gogeta. This is our first ever summonable Ultra. He dropped during the Legends Festival 2021, one of the best celebrations of all time. Everyone was hyped. He was the first ever summonable Ultra, as I said. When he first came out, he was shredding everyone with his blue card. He was doing insane damage. His unique gauge was crazy, spamming a lot of blue cards, destroying cards with the blue card. He has the lock-in. His ultimate cooks. Everything about him was crazy. He was easily the best unit in the game. And I would say he continued being the best unit in the game for around 5 months until Ultra Kaioken came out. It was interchangeable, but I would say Super Gogeta was still the best there. And when Tag Droids dropped in April 2022, I would say there Gogeta wasn't the best in the game. Tag Droids were clear of him. But don't get me wrong, even when Tag Droids released, he was still a top 3 unit for sure. He continued being a top 3 unit throughout the anniversary. And then when Ultra Super Vegito came, he was still a top 5 unit because it was such a buff for him. Fusion Warriors was crazy at the time, so Super Gogeta with Super Vegito was crazy. And then he continued being used. We got the Powerful Opponent campaign, which was basically a movies campaign at the time. We got LF Cooler, which you can say he's kind of a buff and they counter for him at the same time because he counters Super Saiyans, but at the same time they're both movies, so you can use them both at the same team. He was at the time my top 3 units for sure. Then we got Ultra Broly, another movies buff. Super Gogeta is skyrocketing. And when I would say this guy kind of fell off, I would say he was still top 10, I think, arguably top 10. But when LF Beast Gohan first released, even though he's a buff for movies, no one was using Super Gogeta. Because Beast Gohan was basically an upgraded version of Super Gogeta. So why would you use Super Gogeta while you have Beast Gohan? But he was still really good. Despite his age, he was close to being 1-year-old at the time. So impressive. During Legends Festival 2022, he wasn't being used that much, but when Ultra Gogeta Blue first came, he was kind of shining again and getting kind of back into the top 10, but I wouldn't say he was top 10. He was decent at best, and then he continued until I think February 2023. He was dead, no one was seeing him at the time. And still to this day, if you use Ultra Super Gogeta, you would see that his outcome is better than most 2023 Ultras. If you use Super Gogeta against like Ultra Hit, I would say Super Gogeta is gonna cook more than Ultra Hit. Which is crazy to think about because one of them released in 2021 and the second one released in 2023. Which makes me really scared about this guy's Platinum equipment. So after all that story, I would say Ultra Super Gogeta aged for around 12 months, which makes him really interchangeable with Ultra Gogeta Blue. So Super Gogeta at number 4. Let's move to our number 3 best aging unit ever. Our number 3 unit is going to be LF Android 17. Yeah, when that guy released, he was easily a top 3 unit when he first released during 2023, January of 2023. He's not a damage dealer unit. His blast damage was decent at the time, I'm not even going to lie, but his main role on the team is not doing damage. His main role is supporting from the back, just giving debuffs for the enemy from the back, cancelling buffs during rising rushes and big attacks, and having that endurance layer that supports the team. A lot of people do that in our day and age, like Ultimate Gohan, but back during 2023 January, no one was doing that. 17 was so unique. He has the unique gauge that gives him decent buffs, that makes his green card give cover null, that makes him be able to do double vanishes. His combo potential was crazy. Every time he uses a blast card, he gets 2 levels of card draw speed for I think 5 to 3 counts, something like this. It was crazy. But even though he didn't have good teams, the fact that he's really good and he's really safe to use made him the go-to leader slot option in every team in the game when he first released. And then when Ultra Hit came, the Universe Rep was kind of forming a bit. I know Hit was strike based and 17 was blast based, but you can make them work together. He was still, in my opinion, the go-to leader slot option all the way from January until the 5th anniversary, where we got more Universe Rep buffs. But again, they are strike based, so I didn't see a lot of 17 playtime, but again, he was the go-to leader slot option because of his ridiculous support. And then the 5th anniversary ended, and we got LF Perfect Cell, which made this guy a top 3 unit again. Like, that's crazy. LF Perfect Cell at the time, paired up with this guy, and Tag Gammas. It was a crazy Androids team, easily one of the best teams in the game. 17 was playing the support role, Cell and Gammas were doing insane damages. That team at the time was crazy, which made 17 age for more and more. And then the Androids team was relevant until I think September or October. But guess what? When that team fell off, we got more buffs for 17. LF Jiren got a Zenkai, which is a blast-based Universe Rep unit. And then part 1 of the anniversary, guess what we got? We got Evoken, a blast-based insane Universe Rep unit, which made this guy again a top 5 unit. That's crazy. That trio with 17, Jiren, and Evoken was easily the best team in the game at the time, despite 17 being 10 months old at the time. And he was being consistently used during Legends Festival 2023. Ultra UI Goku came into the meta. He kind of, I would say, ruined Universe Rep, but you could still use this guy with Ultra UI Goku and get good results, especially that he protects him from all reds, aka Beast Gohan at the time. But then 2024 came, Universe Rep fell off. We all thought that, yeah, 17 is out of the meta, thank God. But then we got Super 17. Another 17 unit that made Androids one of the best teams in the game and made 17 again a top 10 unit despite being a 1-year-old unit. Super 17 was pairing extremely well with LF MVP 17, and we got Revival Cell Zenkai at the time, we had Tag Gammas, we have LF Perfect Cell. Androids was a really nasty team, and Androids was one of the best teams in the game, I would say, until March of 2024. It was still a decent team, but I don't think it wasn't as good, especially, I would say, you know what, I would say April. April was when Androids, you don't see Androids that often. And even if you see Androids, you would see Revival Cell, Super 17, Hyper Buffed Super 17, and maybe Ultra Gohan or Ultra Golden Frieza on the leader slot. So after 15 months of his release, finally LF MVP 17 is not getting used. And we are all scared that Legends gives him his Platinum equipment and gets him back to the meta. So if you were scared about how long and how dominant these last 3 were, you saw nothing. Because the top 2 is the scariest thing that you could see. Let's move to them. Our number 2 unit. I really wanted to put that guy at number 1, but I think the number 1 unit aged for more. This unit that we have at number 2 is going to be LF Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, aka LF FSK Gohan. This guy's peak was when he got a Zenkai. He got a Zenkai in August of 2020. And I would say that was one of the biggest mistakes Legends have ever done. This guy, when got a Zenkai, he was just so crazy to the point where no one can argue that this guy wasn't the best unit in the game. He was one-shotting units with these blast cards. Nothing could beat his ultimate when he's last man standing. Normally, when a unit is last man standing, you would say, yes, I killed 2 units, now I only have to deal with 1. But when you kill 2 units and this guy is left, you would say, oh my god, why did I kill the other 2? Because this guy was going to cook you regardless. When he got a Zenkai, he was crazy to the point where every new release that we got, if it's not as good as FSK Gohan, you're cooked. Get out of the meta. He's still the best unit in the game. He stayed like that, getting used in every single team. Use him in every team and he can still cook. And then beginning of 2021, we got LF Future Gohan, which was one of the best support units at the time. And then boom, look at it. We have LF Future Gohan supporting FSK Gohan in a ridiculous hybrid setup. And then continuing, FSK was still the best unit in the game all the way until we got more buffs for him. The 3rd anniversary part 2, which was the last part at the time, gave us LF Revival Gohan, which was arguably at the time the best unit in the game alongside this guy. 2 Gohans, both Super Saiyan 2 Gohans, competing on who's the best unit in the game. Hybrids was without a doubt the best team in the game. This guy, Revival Gohan, and Future Gohan was a nasty trio. No one could stop that trio. And keep in mind, he got Zenkai during August 2020, and he's still arguably the best unit in the game during June or July 2021. That's crazy. When we looked at the previous units, they were like top 10, top 5 after a year. This guy is arguably the best after a year. That's crazy. And he continued being arguably the best unit in the game, I would say, until LF Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta got his platinum equipment. When LF Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta got his plat equipment, I would say at the time Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta was slightly better than him because he got one of the most ridiculous plat equips at the time. But he was still dominant, don't get me wrong. He was still getting used all the way until Festival 2021. But when this guy really stopped getting used, I would say when Ultra Super Gogeta came. At that time, I would say FSK Gohan was not a top 10 anymore. You could not use that guy and risk it against the best unit in the game at the time, which was Ultra Super Gogeta, which makes this guy a dominant unit for 15 months. I know 17 was for 15 months as well, but this guy, the difference is 17 was consistently a top 10 unit. This guy was consistently a top 3, top 2 unit for 15 months. It's crazy to face FSK Gohan every single match. You hated the game at the time. And you're probably wondering who actually beats this monster in terms of Asian. So let's get to our number 1 unit and tell you who beats him. At number 1, a lot of OGs know that this guy is the best Asian unit ever. LF Future Gohan is the best Asian unit in a lot of people's opinions, and I think it's just true. He wasn't as dominant as FSK Gohan, but his time period of Asian was crazy. Let me just get you throughout from when this guy released all the way until he fell off. So he released back during early 2021. It was like January, February, something like this. And he was easily one of the best units in the game because he was getting used alongside FSK Gohan that we just talked about, which was destroying everyone. Pass forward, he was getting used throughout the whole year because, as I said, Hybrids was insane, and I talked about that when I was talking about FSK Gohan. Hybrids was insane for the whole year. So when Hybrids wasn't the best team in the game, I would say, when part 1 of the festival came out, Hybrids was still a really good team, and another good team for Future Gohan got buffed, which was Future. Future at the time got a banner with Soda Hope Trunks, which is a phenomenal unit at the time, and that Goku Black Zamasu assist unit, also known as Zim-Zam. At the time, you would use Soda Hope Trunks, Zim-Zam, and Future Gohan for a ridiculous Future setup, and you still have the hybrid setup with Future Gohan, FSK, and Revival Gohan. So this guy is, of course, one of the best units in the game because he's getting used consistently on one of the best teams in the game. And what makes him being used a lot in a lot of those teams, it's because his disrupt was crazy, his support for the team was crazy, he was really, really tanky, he came with endurance, so more rush control, so he was a really safe option to be used at the time. Endurance wasn't that common at the time, like these days we get endurance on practically every single unit, but at the time endurance was really, really a unique thing. So let's continue our journey. Future was good throughout the whole Legends Festival 2021. Even when Ultra Super Gogeta came out, as I said, Hybrid Saiyans was kind of really down, I would say. But still, you could still use Future and get good results. So Future Gohan at the time was, I think, a top 10 unit for sure. For the whole 2022, I would say it's nothing crazy. Future Gohan was getting worse and worse at the time, I would say, because Tag Droids came out and they were shredding all yellows and all blues in the meta. And then they dropped the biggest counter for him, which was LF Final Form Cooler, which shreds all Super Saiyans, especially with this guy being a yellow unit. So we all said, yeah, Future Gohan's out of the meta, finally. And then they gave him a Plat Equip in October, which made him decent. I would not say he was a really good unit, but I would say he's decent at the time when he got a Plat Equip. He wasn't that usable because Cooler was crazy. But after 20 days of this guy getting a Plat, they dropped LF Beast Gohan, which made this guy a top 3 unit again. That's crazy to think about, bro. That team with Beast Gohan, Future Gohan, and Pan was the best team in the game and was basically what you see every single game. Because you see this guy every single game, of course you're going to put him as a top 3 unit. The support that he provides to Beast Gohan at the time was crazy. Beast Gohan was protecting him from all reds. Cooler was getting slightly out of the meta because of Beast Gohan. And then boom, again, this guy's top 3 for sure. And then he stayed as a top 3 unit. I would not say top 3, top 10 I would say for the whole Legends Festival 2022. And even at the beginning of 2023, he was still getting used. I would say he was still in honorable mentions to a top 10 unit. And what did you think? This guy was falling off? Haha, nah. March 2023, we got Ultra Rose Goku Black, which made Future the best team in the game. Guess what? A tag that Future Gohan holds is the best. Of course, Future Gohan is getting used on that team. I would say Future Gohan was getting used not consistently on that team, but he was still a really good option. If you want to pair him with Rose and Zamasu, with Ultra Rose and Spark and Zamasu at the time, you would get good results. Double endurance with that team and Rose doing the big boy damage. This guy giving support. Like, it was crazy. And he was still getting used during the times of the 5th anniversary. I would not say always getting used, but he was still getting used decently. But when this guy really fell off and no one sees him was when Ultra Vegito Blue came out. He was shredding all yellows and no other buffs that we got for this guy that resurrected him dropped in the future. So we were talking about his history from early 2021 all the way until mid 2023, which made this guy age for around 2.5 years, which makes Future Gohan the best Asian unit in the Dragon Ball Legends history. And when he gets a Zenkai, he might age for more 3 years. Like, that's crazy. A lot of people are afraid of this guy's Zenkai, and bro, if they did it, that's going to be crazy. But yeah, that's going to be the end of this video. Definitely let me know in the comment section below if you like these unique rankings. Today we ranked the best Asian units. I hope you enjoyed the video and you got some flashbacks to the Legends history and what ridiculous units that we got in the past. And let me know in the comment section below if you have any more ideas for unique rankings that I can do in the future. And make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you want more Dragon Ball Legends guides and unique ideas. The support helps me a lot to keep going and it keeps me motivated, so make sure to like and subscribe. So thank you guys for watching the video. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.